Good evening, people. It's the South view from the South stand match reaction. Just finished 0-0 against Eintracht Frankfurt. A bit of a ding-dong game, to be honest, but we'll come away with a point from Germany. So we'll get straight to it, crack on with it. We'll bring out our first guest, none other than Gareth Mack. How's it, buddy?
Oh, it's all good, mate. How's you?
Yeah, not too bad. Bit of a lively one tonight, to be fair. Bit of a ding-dong game. Don't really know what to make of it, to be honest. It could have went either way.
Well, it could, but I think it was a vast improvement from Sunday.
Absolutely. And I thought the way we showed a bit more intent through the game, it was, had it not been for the awful finishing and the bad touches in the final third, could have walked away with 2 or 3 goals tonight.
Oh, easily. Yeah, easily could have been 2 or 3. To be fair, could have even been 4. Emerson, I'll give him his due. He seemed to have a really good game today. Looked like he went out to kind of prove himself a little bit after his balls up against the Arsenal. And it was nice to see him doing a little bit more, showing a little bit more hunger. But there were times where I was really kind of annoyed by the fact that he's a big enough lad. Why is he getting pushed over so quickly? But, I wanted to mention him because, I think, he showed a bit of guts today to come back from what happened.
I mean, a lot of us, when we looked at the team sheet today, we saw first person we looked at, or the first position we looked at was the right wing back position. Yeah. And we saw Emerson there. We thought, here we go again. Conte being stubborn. Another 90 minutes of Emerson. But to be fair, like you said, he put in a good performance today. I wouldn't say it was a vintage performance, but to come back from what was the disaster of North London derby with a red card, I thought, like you said, he showed guts and it did himself. It did himself proud today, if I'm being honest with you, because it could have been a lot worse. But coming back onto the game, I mean, what did you make of Conte's tactics in the game? It was a bit of it was holding back a bit, and they were holding back a bit for the first quarter of the game, sort of sizing each other up, and then it sort of opened up after 15 minutes. So, I mean, what do you make of the first half?
Yeah, like you say, it was sparring for the first 15, 20 minutes, looking for the gaps, looking for where's best to hit. I just, and Spurs managed to make a few breakthroughs. They just didn't manage to convert anything. And I think that's the frustrating part, because we know the firepower we've got. You look at some of the results that we've had this season. We know we can score goals, and they were there for the taking at parts for me. And we did well we did well against them. Like I said, the whole thing, you compare it to Sunday, across the board, it was a vast improvement. They still had their moments where they could have hurt us, but I think Lloris didn't do too bad. I think the defense looked a little bit better. I think just across the board, it was good. We just didn't take our chances, and I felt like someone's really put a rocket up their arse.
Yeah, you'd imagine after that North London derby, Conte would have had a word with all of them. Certainly a few rockets going up, a few arses, so to speak. But what did you make of coming back to the defensive side of things? What did you make of Romero's positioning today? Because for one, I thought Romero had a decent game today. He was stepping up. He was winning the ball. He was on his man straight away. And then there was something weird I noticed, and the commentary team noticed it as well. He was sort of pushing out towards like a right sort of behind the right wing back position, sort of tucking in behind Emerson. I mean, what do you make of that? Because I've not seen that as yet from Conte.
Yeah, I'll be honest. My stream was a little bit iffy at times, so I kind of missed certain aspects of that. But to be fair, with what you've told me, for me, I feel like Conte realizes that he's a little bit of a weak link, and Romero's there just to shore it up a little bit. And I don't think it's a bad tactic to have. It'll only hurt us. A tactic like that, it leaves a bit of space, and that'll hurt us against teams like City. But if it gives Emerson the confidence to go forward and to settle his nerves a little bit into the game, then I'm all for it, because as we've said on many different shows, the right back position and the right wing back, isn't the best position. So we need to do what we can to make sure we cover ourselves down there.
Yeah, and this is why I mentioned Romero's positioning tonight, because I think that sort of allowed Emerson to sort of crack on a bit, a bit more freedom going up top. And it showed today. The way he was getting forward, the crosses he was putting in. He should have had a goal today as well with a dipping volley that he had. All around great display from him as well. But against the bigger teams, obviously, it might be a bit of an issue. And I would still err on the side of caution and perhaps go with 3-5-2, especially away from home in the Premier League against even against Brighton maybe on the weekend. Their tails are up, and
and we don't know anything about their new manager, so it's going to be a very unpredictable game.
Well, the thing about Brighton is, their manager's left, and they're still carrying on in the same vein. If not, they've got even better since Potter left. You'd think the tactics would go out of the window and different style of football, but for me, it's gone better, and Trossard seems to have got better as well. So
to be fair, it's almost like the shackles have been taken off them a little bit. It's almost like their new manager likes to have a bit more free flowing, a bit more attack, whereas Potter like to keep it tight.
What do you make of Hasebe's performance tonight? Because he's 38 years old, and he very much held his own tonight against arguably one of the best trios in European football, Son, Kane and Richarlison. He was fantastic tonight. What do you make of him?
The guy's class, the way he's looked after himself. But to be fair, you look at so many different players, Zlatan, Ronaldo. There have been players over the years that have made sure that they look after their bodies. They've treated themselves right. They've done everything that they need to do to keep themselves going at the highest possible point of their career. And you just got to take your hat off to people like that. And the game he had today was great. He played really well. He still looked alert. He still looked, like he had a bit of something about him to be quick off the mark. And he's still got that passion and that hunger, and that's probably a lot of what pushes him to make sure he still does what he does.
Yeah, I thought he was fantastic tonight. But Son, Kane could have had a couple of goals each. But what do you make of? Going forward, do you reckon we'll be okay with Kane and Son? The telepathy has seemed to have sort of faded away over the last sort of few games or so, and it's just not quite there. It sort of needs like fine tuning at this stage. Does that worry you at all?
No, it doesn't worry me. It's their first full season under Conte. They've had the first pre-season. He's really starting to, in my mind, hit home what he's looking for, what he wants, and how he wants it. So there's going to be slight disruption somewhere along the line. And I think this is just a case of them, really getting bedded back into the way they used to be with the telepathy, but doing it the Conte way. It's like I said last night, with Son, I'm not worried about Son. He's got to get something new under a new manager. He's probably being told to do different things, which might be new to him. So, but everybody goes through a little bit of a dip, and they'll come out the end of it. The players we've got a quality in Kane and Son. So, if you doubt them, then I think that you need to have your head read a little bit, because they're going to come good. Yeah.
A lot was made of Dyer's performances last few games. I thought he wasn't too bad tonight, to be fair, alongside Romero and Longley. If anything, I thought Longley was probably the weakest of the three tonight, and he was lucky to be on the pitch as well.
They had a few erratic moments.
He had a moment where he was on a yellow card, and I think their player Knopf had the better of him, and his arm went up in his face, and that could have easily been a red card. So I'm pretty lucky to be, going in at half time, full time with 11 men. So Davies comes in. Obviously, he's looking to come back probably into the squad. Would you take Davies in the back three for the next game, or would you carry on with Longley?
It's a tough one, because before the injury, Davies has probably played some of the best football he's played since he's been at Tottenham. He was getting forward. He was able to put the ball in the back of the net. And he was able to help with the attacking movement of the game. And for that reason, it's a really tough one. I like how Longley's been. I like what I'm seeing with him. He's getting bedded in. He's getting his opportunity, and I don't think he's doing himself any harm with it. Do I think that he's better than Davies? Probably not at the moment, but at the same time, with the injury layoff that Davies has had, is Davies going to come straight in and be like he was last time, or is he going to be worse than Longley whilst he gets his fitness back up and gets back into the swing of things. So based on that, I would probably stick with Longley for now, and give Davies a little bit more time to get match fit and to get a little bit sharper.
Makes sense to me, to be fair. And I mean, one player that we I think we're all glad to see tonight, and happy for him as well, was Bryan Hill. He come on with 13 minutes to go, albeit not enough time to sort of have any sort of bearing on the game. But I, for one, was pleased to see him come on and sort of, for me, he chased down the ball. He showed determination. He showed guts, and he wanted to get on the ball. He was chasing the ball down. He won the ball a couple of times. You can see he wants to take his chance. I mean, what do you make of that? Would you want to see Bryan Hill start for us, or even come on more regularly as a substitute in the following games? I mean, we've got quite a few games coming up. For me, he showed a lot of heart and passion today. Still lightweight for me, and still gets knocked off the ball quite easily.
Yeah, and this for me is why I think we're in a position with no choice with him at the moment, because we've got so many games coming up. And I think him coming on today was probably just to give him some minutes to try and help get him a little bit sharper and a little bit kind of match fit. I don't see him working in a Premier League game, because the fact he Augusta Wind will take him over. He's going to get wiped out. You just look at the guy. There's nothing to him. But for European games against various teams, he's got something that will probably help us, because he's good with the Spanish clubs. He's good at playing against European teams, because they're not as physical in some respects. Obviously, the German teams are different. They do like to have it a little bit tough, but across the board, I think he's better for European side of things than he is for the Premier League. But like I say, with injuries and the games and everything we've got coming up, we might be in a position of no choice.
I mean, technically, he's very gifted. You can see it today with his touches, the way he's taking the ball around players and everything else. He's got confidence, the boy, but like you said, he's just lacking in a strength department. And I think that's something that's not going to come anytime soon.
Well, no, you look at
his age.
It took him time, and he had his chance in the Premier League at a very young age. Gil needs to get in the gym. He needs to start eating, and putting a bit of timber on and firming himself up, because it's great to have all the skill in the world. But you even look at Messi. He's got a bit of stodge about him. He's got a bit of weight to go with that skill. And Gil needs to do the same thing.
So, Gareth, do you think this was the right sort of response after Sunday? Do you think we should have done more? Do you reckon we should have sort of gone all out to get the game in the bag, or do you think this was enough of a response, considering what happened on Sunday? We're second in the league at the moment in a Champions League group. 4 points, level on points with Frankfurt. Do you reckon we can make it through the group?
I reckon we can. I know Marseille had a great result against Sporting today, but I think we can make it. I think the most important thing today was not to lose. To lose 2 on the bounce, I think it would have given confidence a real big hit. So I'm happy with the draw. I would have taken the draw, before the game. As long as we didn't lose.
Oh, interesting.
And as long as we didn't, if you can draw your away games and win your home games, then that should get you through the group. And I think, to get a bit more confidence in the team, to get them to be a bit more solid, to get them back to being switched on to the way Conte wanted. Because for me, Sunday was a little bit headless. They played the occasion, they didn't play the game. So to get a clean sheet, to not have lost the game, and to have shown some grit, to have shown a bit of determination, a bit of mettle during this game against Frankfurt, it's definitely an improvement from Sunday, and I think there are a lot of positives that Conte and the team will be able to take out of it. And as long as we're able to beat Frankfurt at home, and again with Marseille at home, and hopefully get a draw. We've done Marseille at home. My apologies. Sporting at home, Frankfurt at home, and then do Marseille away. If we can come away with 7 points out of that, then happy days. I'll be a happy man. 4 might be enough, but 7's the ideal. Win the 2 home games, draw the away game, and just keep it steady, keep it tight, and make sure you just keep progressing slowly but surely.
Personally, I think Sporting will probably fade away. Marseille's a very decent outfit, and Frankfurt are going to be trouble with their home games. Tonight, the atmosphere was I've not seen an atmosphere like that for a long time. You know, with the flags and the fans, they didn't stop for 90 minutes. It was such a fantastic. They made it such a fantastic occasion. And
to be fair, you look at what they're like when they come to us. They had that small corner, but you can hear them from start to finish. They're passionate. They will get behind their team every step of the way. And I talk about English football in general. It kind of puts us to shame. You know, you look at how we was towards the end of last season with Arsenal. You know, it was commented on by Neville. We battered them as a fan base for 60, 70 minutes. Every game we should be battering for 90 minutes. We should be taking a leaf out of their books, because it is that extra push that will give it. You know, those fans are singing till the end. It makes the team push to the end. And, you know, because even with the way we were moving forward and the positivity we had, they still had their moments towards the end. And that will be a large part of that, no matter how tired they are, to that entire crowd screaming, chanting, shouting and waving those flags to push them on.
I mean, we've got some of the best fans. I think, you know, we'll go away to all the away games. We'll make a lot of noise. But tonight, I thought we was playing in a stadium without our fans, if I'm being honest with you. I didn't hear any Tottenham chanting. I didn't hear anything, to be honest with you.
They probably were, but because of how loud they were and because
exactly
of everything that they you know, you think about it, it's, you know, Pep called us the Harry Kane team, you know, at one stage. But you've got to think, a team like Frankfurt, they beat Rangers in the final and they played West Ham. All of a sudden, Hugo Lloris, Romero, Son, Højbjerg, Kane, they're at their stadium. They probably love the fact that they were there because they've got to see them play football. But at the same time, it's, well, we're not going to roll over for them, so let's make sure we get behind the boys. And they did that. And it was good to watch. It was good to hear. You know, I love to hear a buzzing stadium.
Yeah, I mean, this is what the Champions League is all about, isn't it? I mean, you know, the atmosphere, you know, the fans, everything else, you know, it's just fantastic. But you know, if you had to pick a player tonight, Gareth, who would you say was your sort of player of the match? I mean, there were quite a few, 2 or 3 maybe that stood out. Who do you reckon?
I don't know. Part of me kind of wants to side a little bit with Emerson, and that's purely for the way he put himself forward after Sunday. He knows full well the pelters he's going to have been getting from the fan base, whether he's reading Twitter or not, you know, or listening to any of these podcasts. He knows full well that people are so against him right now. And
I think he thrives on that, to be honest with you.
Part of him might do, but to come out and put in the performance he did with all the hate that's coming towards him right now, yeah, I'd probably give it to him just for the sheer fact that he put in across the team. But yeah, for that's why I'd give it to Emerson, because fair play to him for coming out and doing what he did.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Emerson for me would have got my vote as well for tonight. And I'm not going to shy away from saying that. You know, I'll admit that I gave him some pelters after the North London derby as well. But, you know, I'd rather egg on my face than not. And today he did himself proud, like I said. Yeah. Gareth, just before we go, Sunday, or I believe it's Saturday, sorry. Saturday, we've got Brighton at home. There's talks that Brighton's pushing for a postponement for some reason. I don't think that's going to be the case.
There's no trains on, so they're putting on a coach service. I've had an email about it, yeah. Fair
play. So, obviously, if that match goes ahead, just give us a quick prediction, Gareth. What do you reckon? How do you reckon that will go? I mean, they're banging form at the moment.
I think it's going to be a tough game, but I think there's a lot to take from tonight. And I think we'll edge it. It's going to be 2-1, 3-2. We'll nick it by a goal.
That's positivity there for you, Gareth. Thank you very much as always. Look forward to having you on the show again, mate. And
thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I'll probably see you around. Where can we find you for the rest of the week if you're around?
I've got nothing else as regards coming on 20 streams, but At Emotion Pod is finally back, and we'll be putting out a pod.
Guys, make sure you tune in. Make sure you subscribe. Emotion Pod.
We're going to be having special guests on this time. We've kind of nicked the Hawksby and Jacobs Falls panel moving forward. So you'll get a point for a win. No, you won't. You'll get 3 points for a win. If you get the right goal scorer, you'll get an additional 2 points. Obviously, you'll get your point for a draw. Nothing for a loss. and we're going to have guests on every week. Basically anyone who's following us, we'll give them an ask see if they want to come on. I'll have a score prediction. Mark will have a score prediction, and our guests will. At the end of the season, if I win, then Mark's going to give £100 to charity. If Mark wins, I will. And if our guests win, then we give £200 to charity at the end of the
Fantastic.
season. We kind of muddled with the format now because I'm at more games, so we're still able to do it together. So
Fantastic.
Get following,
people,
guys.
Get involved, get following. Absolutely great causes there. Gareth, thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Thank you. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Right, time to bring on our next guests, and it's the Right Honourable Has from Hotspur TV.
Hey, you're right. You're right, mate.
You're looking chipper tonight, mate.
I'm just trying to smile to hide the pain, to be honest. I'm
Sorry?
trying to hide the pain. I was just smiling to hide the pain, to be honest, of that performance.
Oh, was it painful for you, was it?
Yeah.
So Has, it's nice to see you, first of all.
Yeah.
Kind of been an easy watch, 0-0. We'll come away with a point. We've got 4 points in the table now. Second in the table, just behind Sporting Lisbon on 6 points. You've got to say we've still got a very good chance of getting through the group. But tonight it was a bit of towards the end it was like a cup final, wasn't it? All the players were tired. The sloppy passes. It just seemed like it was there for the taking. In some respects during the game, but no one can sort of capitalise. What did you make of it, sort of from the first half onwards?
It was a mixed bag in every aspect, to be honest, of the performance. I really want to start talking about the front three because the front three tonight, at least, they were all awful. I don't care what anyone says. They were all really, really bad. Like Son, people argue he got into the positions, but he didn't even hit the target. There was 2 chances where I was like, you need to at least hit the target from where you're hitting it, right? It didn't do anything. And then with Kane, obviously he's right now because Kulusevski's injured. Yeah, for me, he's like our sole creator in the team if you think about it. And his passing even was like not that great. And then you look at Richarlison, who in some ways, I'm not saying we're defending his performance, right, but he's playing off the right, and for me, it's not his strongest position. But at the same time, it was just so bad tonight. And then for me, if you look at the contributions in our team in terms of like the goals, it comes from the front three. When the front three don't score, we tend to not score. As for the midfield, I thought Benteke was the only decent player, really. I think Perisic was again, I don't think he's been bad this season, but at the same time, he's not been what I expected in some ways.
He had to be more defensive tonight.
He wasn't as track back. Yeah, Emerson was again. I don't really want to talk about it because he's not a van. He wasn't that great. The back three again.
That's interesting. Gareth Mack seems to think, and even myself, I thought he didn't have a bad game tonight compared to on Sunday.
I think we have this thing where, and I spoke about this on my watch along, and I know a lot of people may have not seen it, but okay. So do you remember back when we had Sissoko? Yeah. And
I remember Sissoko very well.
You don't know. I know you probably don't want to remember Sissoko, but these are sort of thinking, right? So do you remember when people were praising him that season, saying, "Oh, I remember what season exactly it was. I think it was maybe the season we're at Wembley. I might be wrong. Maybe it's that one." Saying he was our best player, and people are championing him to be the best, given player of the season and stuff like that. Do you remember? I don't know if you remember this.
I do remember vaguely. Yeah.
And I remember every other player in the squad that year was awful. And just because Sissoko was playing all right, because Pochettino, someone made him function in the team in some sort of way. He either played on the right, I remember, as a wing, as a fullback, and he played in the middle with I can't remember, it was Dembele or Wanyama, I can't remember. And he somehow functioned in some sort of way. He wasn't, for me, he wasn't the best. He wasn't what you needed to actually be a top side, right? But he was doing what I would classify as average, right? If we're being completely brutally honest, right? So for me, Emerson, when people praise him, number one, I don't see him he's not the answer for our win-back issue. He's just not the answer. He doesn't have the athleticism. He doesn't have the delivery. He doesn't have. It just doesn't fit. I don't know how to explain it to you, but when I watch him, it just looks wrong. I'm not against him as a person, but it just doesn't work. And there were even instances today. I don't remember in the second half when we had a really good chance, and his delivery was like, I think it's when Sessegnon was on, he hit it all the way to the other side, like completely past the players that are in the box to Sessegnon. And obviously, the wing backs are the most important part of this Conte system, right? If they're not functioning, or if they're not the productivity or creativity, how does the system work?
I mean,
it just doesn't work.
Royale receives his praise today purely off the back of sort of like the North London derby, coming back from a torrid time. He got sent off. He didn't have a great game, but to then obviously he's not picking himself. Conte's picking him. You know, he's not saying I'm starting today, but he was picked to play today, and he showed character to come back and you know to put in the performance he put in today. You have to say it was a million times better than what we saw on Sunday.
I mean, it can, but at the same time, it couldn't be any worse. I mean, that was
it couldn't be any worse. Absolutely,
it was a car crash.
But, you know, it's a time when the team had to sort of show some character and sort of come back with a response in this game. So, you know,
but what do you? Sorry, Hassel, not being like again. It's nothing against you as a person. Like, what do you classify as a response? Because for me, a response is going out there and like winning like 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, before the game, I was hoping that we'd nick the points tonight as well. But you know, when I first saw the stadium and the fans and everything else, I knew we was going to be in for a hard time tonight because, I mean, Eintracht need the points as well. No two ways about it. They had to win tonight as well, and we kept them out. We come away with a point, and at least you know we didn't lose the game. Had we have lost that game, it would have blown the group wide open. Possibly making it a bit of a hard task to get out of our group. But, you know, all in all, a point, considering the chances that we couldn't take, is not too bad in the grand scheme of things. I mean, let's get into all the chances that we had. I mean, tonight we had numerous chances. We just couldn't find that killer pass, that final ball. I mean, what do you make of it? I mean, I asked Gareth earlier on, Harry Kane and Son, that telepathy seems to have sort of dissipated somewhat. What do you make of that?
It's them. It's not the like, I'm going to tell you, oh, it's the system. Oh, they're tired, because at the end of the day, also Kane and Son are like our most important players. They're the players that we are, unfortunately, because we didn't buy enough quality players who we're going to have to rely on to get most of the goals. And when they don't perform, we don't tend to not score. So, I'm not going to say, because I know there's this argument going around about Perisic and something, which to me, I think is an absolute myth. And the poor performance is down to Son, not to down the Sessegnon's not playing and Perisic is, because I think Perisic has done all right so far anyway. So it's like, well, and I think a player has to adapt to the system rather than the team adapting to the player, if that makes sense. I don't know. So like you can't point it into like the system as a problem, because Conte played the system at Chelsea and it worked fine. So it has to be the personnel. It can't be the actual. It can't. It has to be the personnel. It can't be like, oh. And I know there's this argument, of course, like, oh, we should be playing a different system. But for example, I don't trust us playing a back four. I know some people want us to play a back four, but I don't see it working out. And you could switch to a 3-5-2, which could help. Like it might help us in midfield, and it probably would. But then you're losing that extra possible attacking like player, right? Like Richarlison or something that could make a difference. So you've got to weigh up the different things. But I just think they're just not performing. And whether it's down to tiredness or just like I can't pinpoint an actual thing. I just think it's for Kane and Son especially. You could say it's tiredness because they played so much football for us over the past few years.
And there's more to come.
Yeah, and they're not going to get a rest against Brighton, I don't think. So,
and Kulusevski being out injured, of course, doesn't help our cause as well, because we're now having to rely on that front three solely without any rotation. I mean, Lucas Moura's on the treatment table as well.
I heard his injuries are really bad. Like, apparently won't like come back or something. I was reading. I don't know.
Oh, is that Kulusevski or
no Lucas or something?
Oh, Lucas Moura.
Can't they make a comment something like, what was it the effect of? I can't remember. Sorry.
I think it sounded quite bad the way he described it.
Yeah, I don't know how he phrased it, but it sounded really bad.
Yeah. Hopefully Kulusevski won't be out for too long, but it'd be nice to have him back. If you can take out one standout moment from the match, what would it be?
In terms of us almost scoring a goal. I mean, we had a few chances. I think there was one with Son when I think he hit it wide, and it was like, I thought we should have scored really. But it's just for me, like I know we got a point, but it's very frustrating to watch us. It's frustrating, sorry, to watch us at the moment because I feel like I'm watching a system where we don't have the players to fit the system. If you look at personnel wise, for me, especially on the right, I'm not just saying now Emerson just because it's Emerson, because you could say that about, say, Lucas if he tried it on the right, or Doherty doesn't fancy him, and Spence won't play because it's like club politics. He won't play a player that Levy signed. He wants to play the player that he wants, right? So he's not going to get game. When people are calling for Spence, at the same time, he might not be the answer. I've noticed. I'm not seeing him enough, so I can't really say.
Well,
But
he's saying we're not seeing what he sees on the training pitch.
yeah,
Which
I
is
know. I saw
his
that
words.
comment.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, well, so he's doing the best in some. I hate to say this, but the best of what he's got. But the best of what he's got is not at the same time fitting the system he wants to play. But then if he changes the system, I still don't think we'll see for me at least that much of a difference. Maybe in a 3-5-2, we see some sort of difference in terms of the midfield. Like we might not get dominated. But then would we get more from the wing backs? I'd say no, because we just don't have the personnel to get more from the wing backs. And I still believe the wing backs are the most important part of the system. So
yeah,
I mean,
his system relies on that on the wing backs bombing forward.
Player, so where's the creativity going? It's going to come from the wings.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. And I think that's something that we need to address. Possibly now for next season. I mean, for this season, it's a bit too late. I think January we're looking at, if we do bring in anyone, it's integrating the players as well. So,
it's
for
just
me,
hard.
It is difficult. It is difficult, and it is difficult to watch the football at sometimes during a few of the games that we've played previously. It's just been lethargic, and soaking up the pressure for 90 minutes and counter attacking can be a bit of a hard watch. I do get that. But look, moving on, who would be your player of the match tonight? Who do you reckon performed the best for you?
Probably Bentancur again.
Bentancur.
Yeah. I think he was the only one, at least in the midfield, who I thought showed something. I think he had a couple of instances, I think, when he drove forward and then he played the ball forward. I know it sounds really like, oh yeah, we played the ball forward, that's an achievement. but like, I don't know how to phrase it, do you know what I mean?
Sounds like a great match, Has.
but it was just like, I can understand what you're saying about, like, the football's not great, and a lot of people are saying this, but at the same time, people compare it to like Mourinho, right? And Mourinho played a similar sort of style. But at the same time, you could argue Mourinho didn't have the players to play the football he wanted to play. Conte doesn't have the wing backs, in my opinion, that to play the way he wants. And obviously, this creative player argument isn't for another story, but it's just I think the right wing back thing is like such a big thing, not just because it's Emerson. Like it could be Doherty playing there, not playing well, and people will still be saying the same thing, I think.
I mean, it's the position that we're the most well stocked in as well, isn't it? Right wing back.
But they're all not good enough, so it doesn't work. Spence won't play because he didn't sign him, so I don't see him playing him. And I think people won't understand the ramifications of him actually playing him, because if he gives in to playing him, I think it will probably have an effect on the transfer window, in the sense that Levy will just start buying players behind his back again. He'd be like, "Oh no, he played Spence. It's all right. It's all right now. I can buy more of them."
Yeah.
And I think that's club politics for you.
Yeah. But look, we've come away with a point tonight. It is what it is. We've got to take the point. We're second in the table now. You've got to fancy our chances with 2 home games coming up as well. So all in all, not all lost, not the greatest performance, but we'll take it and we move. Right, Has, before we move on to our next guest, just a quick prediction for our upcoming game against Brighton on Saturday. How do you see that one going, buddy?
Don't hate me for this, but I think we're going to lose 2-0.
2-0 at home to Brighton?
We're going to lose 2-0, yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's your prediction. I mean, feel free. No one's going to criticise you if that's,
I'm not like, Brighton are playing very well at the moment, even with the new manager.
They are.
They're at home as well. They got something at Anfield. and I just don't think the momentum's really with us. I know you say we've got some sort of response, or we like stop the rot. Is that the phrase they use now? Yeah, stop the rot.
Yeah.
Against Frankfurt, who finished 11th last year in the Bundesliga. I'm not confident. I wasn't even confident tonight. So unless I saw what I want to see, I know this is maybe it's too much to ask for, but just us to go out and demolish a team, like even if it's someone who's not even that good, like just go out and demolish them, just show that
just
we
for a bit of confidence and enjoy a game of football, I suppose.
It's not just that. It's just like even if we play counter-attacking football, we scored 4 goals. They wouldn't bother me. It's just the system is a certain way, right? But it's just not fun because we don't have the personnel to fit the system. But we're still playing the system because that's how Conte works. I don't know.
Yeah. There's no plan B.
The right wing back debate is just it could go on for hours.
Well,
yeah.
What
right, thanks for having me on anyway.
No problem.
I wish I'd be more positive. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Haz's prediction for Saturday's 2-0. I hope you're wrong, Haz, but
I really do.
I can understand why you've gone for 2-0 based on recent performances. But look, it's a pleasure having you on. Where can we find you for the rest of the week, Haz?
So I'm gonna be on Eugen's channel at 2:30 tomorrow. It's just like I imagine it'll be a post match maybe for this. And then just some other games. I think it's Champions League tomorrow again, I think, as well.
Yeah.
And we'll probably talk a bit about Liverpool. And then on Thursday, I've got a preview for Brighton. Sunday will probably be the review / preview for, I think we've got another game next week, don't we?
Yes, every 3 or 4 days. So we've definitely got a game next week.
The following
we've got Eintracht Frankfurt at home next week as well.
That's
the
one I'm thinking of. Is that
on Wednesday?
I think? Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. So we like a review. I do like review / previews and not the same thing. So I'll go a brief review and then So tomorrow, Thursday, Sunday, that sort of thing. And you can find me occasionally hopping on to like Tottenham Way or like Wolf Stewart's or just wherever really. I'm pretty much everywhere nowadays. Yeah.
Fantastic. So make sure you subscribe or catch up with Haz on the plethora of channels that he appears on.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure having you on, Haz, and look forward to having you on next time.
I just wish I was more positive.
Haz and Haz. We should have a show together, really. Haz and Haz.
That would be quite fun, actually. It's actually quite fun. You could do the cooking to make up for the
exactly.
Make
there
up
you
for
go.
the Spurs
I could have been cooking Frankfurters tonight, but there you go.
You said you're watching it. Right, okay. Take care, mate.
Cheers, Haz. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Right, time to bring on our final, last guest. It is one and only Ian. Ian, how's it going? I'm sure you watched the full 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm sure you got plenty to tell us as well.
In my favourite bar here in Costa Blanca in Spain. It's hard, isn't it? Sometimes. Do you know you're watching a game like that, Haz, and you're going, "Are we going to lose this? Are we going to lose this game we've dominated?" And you come away with that bittersweet feeling. Should have won it, but at least we didn't lose it. And you'd hope we'd be a little bit further on now under Conte and under the players that we've got. I do, and I'm still sighing, an hour and whatever after the finish. Just felt that was a game there for the winning. I heard you and Harry at the end there, and we're second in the group. We're still in control of our own destiny. But we keep having these conversations as Spurs supporters rather than saying, we should have 7 points. I know we didn't play well in Lisbon, but we got to the 90th minute. You should see it out. A point. Should have won today. You got 7 points. You're in control, and everything in your garden's rosy. We've still got, we've still got 3 games to go. We should annihilate Frankfurt at home next week. We won't, because we don't really annihilate anybody unless they're Leicester. That should, and I don't want to look too far ahead. That should give us 7 points, and then we got 3 3 from 2 games or something like that. We should get that, but we shouldn't be in that position. Our players are good enough to be better than they are. We're third in the league, having got well beat at Arsenal. You go, what the hell's going on here? This team isn't playing well, but we're getting results, somehow grinding out results. It's not pretty, but hey, we are where we are. We're still in the Champions League.
Yeah, I mean, we're still in with a great shout. I mean, we're on 4 points at the moment, level with Eintracht Frankfurt. The likes of Sporting, very good chance they've got 6 points in the bag, but I just got a feeling that Sporting possibly might fade away. Marseille, for me, are quite a decent outfit, and there'll be ones to watch out for as well. But on today's game, you mentioned we dominated the game. For me, the first 15 minutes was sort of both teams sort of holding back, a feeling out process. And then we sort of got into the nitty gritty after that. And it was a bit of a ding dong battle. So, both teams had chances. Both teams had chances. Lloris made a save. We could have had a plethora of chances. But, what was you? I'll go to the end of the game, Ian. They've got a call with 2 minutes to go. What was you thinking at that point?
I was thinking, no, not again. This would be so typical Tottenham, and I'm thinking exactly what happened in Marseille. In Lisbon. No, they're going to go and we're going to go and lose this. I think it's one of those, and you get to a certain age, and I'm a bit older than you and probably most of the people watching, that you've seen it so often where a team dominates a game. And I felt we did dominate the game. I mean, I know it was ding dong and what have you, but I think we had 56% of the game, which we don't normally have, period. And we certainly don't normally get it away from home, and certainly in a European game. I felt we were by some distance the better side technically, man for man, physically, in every way. We could, if we'd have gone in 2-0 at half time, that wouldn't have flattered us by any stretch. Couple of chances, that Sonny had, for example. When you look at the goals he scored against Leicester, the ones that were hitting the target, and these ones were missing. Those ones, what he's like. If he hits the target, they go in the net. So I just genuinely felt that, that game was there for the winning. And yeah, you're right. You think, the ball goes in there and suddenly we lose another cheap goal, another cheap game. And you go, come on. And also that would have been 3 defeats from 4. So you wouldn't be a Spurs supporter if you didn't have that negative thought in your head. You just wouldn't be. Excuse me. Loaded with a bit of cold has, but there you go.
Everyone's got a bit of the lurgies this month.
Yeah, but I didn't feel we played badly today. That was the worst of it. I think a couple of chances.
It was a major improvement. I mean, even on the way we've been playing the last few games, for me, it's been a really hard watch, Ian. And today we showed a bit more purpose, and we showed a bit more willingness to get forward and to attack our opponent. And I think had it not been for a better first touch in the final third or better finishing in the final third, we could, like you said, we could have walked away with 2-3 goals today.
No, and I think that's right. And I mean, if I'm honest with you, I'm not persuaded that this formation is right. Funny enough, I was watching with a good mate of mine from Glasgow, who's a Celtic supporter, who again can watch football, I think, with a little bit dispassionately, and looks at Tottenham and says, you're short of creativity in midfield. And I think if my mate Ken is he had trials as a goalkeeper, mine, but as goalkeeper with Everton, he knows the game, and he knows the game well. And you have to say, I agree with that. We're lacking in that creative midfield, and I don't think we'd have got turned over as badly by Arsenal if we'd have had that extra player. There's been other games where you feel we might have gone on and won where we've only drawn. Part of the problem is, I think, Bentancur and Højbjerg, and they both played very well tonight, but they don't have that extra spark, that ability to pick that, that needle pass or whatever, that je ne sais quoi, that makes a difference between you and an opponent in a really tight game. And I heard Haz, and I'm inclined to agree that we've all talked about it, that maybe the 3-5-2 is the way to go. Yes, it means sacrificing one of the forwards, but then you've always got the opportunity of bringing them on later if it's not working. But you just feel we might control games better if Skip was playing or Basuma was playing. We wouldn't be, turned over quite as much as we were in the middle of the field and having, the difficulties that we have in the middle of the park. And it's frustrating, and I'm frustrated. You can probably hear it in my voice. You've
as
heard
are most of us, I should imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the frustration with with Conte in the press conferences. I only picked up bits of them, but do you think I'm an idiot? Well, no, we don't think you're an idiot. Absolutely not. But sometimes you use social media and what have you, and you read things that people think, and you go, have you ever actually watched a game of football in your life? Because you do get some nonsense. But there's a lot of us on this and in the chats, people who I have a lot of respect for their opinions and knowledge about the game, and we all feel we're lacking in the middle of midfield. Now, granted, we can only play 11, except that we only play 11. But we're not getting, and again, I'm repeating because I picked up a little bit of Haz's interview, that the wing backs, Conte's formation, Conte's tactics rely on delivery and goals from the wing back positions, goals in particular that he's not getting. I've said on one or two broadcasts before, to me, the classic Conte goal was one of the ones at Leeds last February or March, where it was Sessegnon broke down the left, smacked the ball across, and there was Doherty on the far post to put in the goal.
Wing back to wing back.
That was wing back to wing back. That was a Conte goal. We haven't got the whether we've got the players, I don't know, but we're not doing that. Emerson was actually, I thought Emerson played well tonight, in all fairness, defensively. But it's when he gets the ball in that final third that he struggles. And Conte's system, and I don't know why Conte isn't picking up on this. Conte's system requires that his wing backs deliver more offensively than Emerson is capable of delivering. And it's frustrating because I don't think we're that far away, That's the point. I don't think we're that far away.
It still seems like we're a team in transition, Ian. I mean, it still seems like we're sort of still gelling together. And, once this team starts ticking over and, starts, behaving like a well-oiled machine, hopefully that should hold us in good stead, right?
Yeah, no, and I'm inclined to agree with that. I've picked up. Sorry if I'm not answering your question directly because I've just picked up on the comments there from Mark about, do you think we look better tonight because they matched us 3-4-3 for a change and we didn't get overrun for a change? I think that's fair comment, but I picked up something that the commentator said, and I was in a bar, so I wasn't really listening to the commentaries. And that's that when they played Sporting Lisbon, they just got picked off. So they were picking a system that meant they were not going to just be counter-attacked into oblivion, which we are capable of doing. So, I mean, in fairness, I think Frankfurt's tactics were about not losing the game rather than being particular about winning it. But going back to your question, of course, being the typical politician, I've actually forgotten what it was.
So I was asking, no, that's all right. I can't remember myself now at the moment.
No, that's what I say. Yeah,
we'll move on. We'll move on anyway.
Please.
For you, Ian, who would be who do you reckon was player of the match? I mean, there was a couple of players that I can think of, but earlier on, Gareth said Emerson, has said Bentancur. I mean, who would you go with?
I funny, and my thoughts before we came on, because I knew you'd ask me, so I'm sort of trying to watch the game and think who's man of the match. Benty probably for me. I thought he played really well, and that's the point. And so did Højbjerg. They both played very well. And as I say, what they both do, they do exceptionally well. It's just sometimes with that ability to thread a pass that they both lack, or to score a goal at the crucial times. Yeah, you say, well, hang on a minute. Yeah, they do score goals. Yeah, they do, but they're not 15 goals a season midfield players.
Not quite.
I thought Benty was good tonight. I didn't think anyone played badly. You maybe want a bit more from Kane, maybe Sonny, a bit more composure in front of the goal, but the defenders all played reasonably well. Lloris didn't make that mistake, was horrific. He made it Arsenal, and Romero as well. The two of them just went. I'm just not going to say anything, but Benty, I thought Benty was probably my best player tonight. Ultimately, I'll wake up tomorrow and I'm thinking a draw away from home in the Champions League is no disgrace.
Absolutely. Just before we go, Ian, we've got a big match on Saturday against an in-form Brighton. Just give us a quick score prediction. How do you see that one going?
I think if we get a draw, we'll do okay there. They don't.
I think we're playing at home, so
no, we're not. This is the match.
We're playing away, are we?
Yeah, funny enough, I've picked that up in your interview with. With Hazard. The games at Brighton, the games at the Amex. So no, it's away, because there's been talk about with the train strike that the game will be postponed. Although I think we do need to be. Hi, Bobby. We do need to be playing. I watched their game almost in entirety against Liverpool, and what's interesting has been a change of manager. But I didn't see any discernible change of tactic in the way that they attacked. Trossard, apart from the fact he scored a hat-trick, was unplayable for parts of the game. Looks a serious footballer, more than he did, and probably better for Bissouma not being in their midfield. If we can walk away with a draw from... excuse me. If we walk away from a draw from that game, I think we'll do okay. They're still a very, very good side, Brighton. Yeah.
So there you have it. Ian's predicting a draw for Saturday. Hopefully we can get a little bit more than a draw. But Ian, thank you very much for being on the show. We'll look forward to seeing you on again very soon.
Look forward.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time.
Always a pleasure, Has. Take care.
Come on, you Spurs.
Right. Come on, you Spurs.
Right, time to move on to last. I promise this is the last guest. Introducing to you, Sam. Sam, you look a bit despondent, mate. What do you make of tonight's performance? 0-0 Eintracht Frankfurt.
I was feeling fine until 10 minutes ago. It's like the last time I ate from this dodgy takeaway, and I ate it just before the game. I won't talk about that too much. I think that maybe, certain football fans who would have been given the opportunity with a dodgy stomach could have shown a little bit more heart for that game. Not to say, though, that there wasn't really any heart, because I think our front three did try and make a go out of it. But there was no final third or end product. That was the main issue for me. And I think that was just a real disappointment, because like Ian said, Frankfurt's tactics were more set out to not lose to Tottenham, and that's pretty much how they played and what they did. Had we just been clinical in that first half, then it would have been a much different story. A lot of fans wouldn't be feeling negative about this. I just think the real disappointment was from our front three, and Son failing to hit a shot on target and Kane failing to capitalise on a delivery from Son, some of them which were great deliveries and should have been there for the finishing.
I mean, that's one thing that many supporters over the years have been moaning about. We need someone to deliver the ball in, this, that, and the other. But we're getting the ball in, but for some reason they can't hit the back of the net. And tonight, I think we did enough to actually get 2 or 3 goals. I mean, the one with Son when Kane passed it through to him was one that sort of sticks out the most. I mean, he should have buried that. But bottom corner, top corner. You'd expect Son from that sort of distance. I know he's been closed down, but you'd expect him to tuck that away any day of the week, considering the form that he's been in the last couple of games when he hit his hat-trick. But in terms of general play, Sam, how do you think the team did overall? Do you think they did enough?
Much better than the
respond?
Emirates.
Right. So this is what I was going to say. North London derby. I know we all want to forget about it now. Awful performance in the end. But the response, was it enough for you, the response? And going forward, do you reckon that'll be enough?
I think it was enough to see Emerson actually go forward and try and make a decent low ball cross on the edge of the box, something that we want wing backs to do. I thought Perisic as well why was Perisic subbed off? Was there something wrong with him? Because I haven't actually looked into that.
I think he's played back-to-back games, and due to his age as well, probably. Just wanted a bit more energy. I think what it was, Sam, I think a lot of the players were starting to tire out a bit towards the end. Just wanted fresh legs in there, probably with another game coming up on Saturday against Brighton. So that's probably the main reason why.
I wouldn't have agreed with that, I'm afraid. I thought Perisic was one of our best players outside our front three, and he should have been playing a bit longer. I can't really see why we should be playing players like Ryan Sessegnon in pivotal games like the Champions League, for example. I'm not saying, get them out of my club or anything like that, but you're going to always have weaker players, and some of these weaker players shouldn't be playing in big games. That's just the way I see it personally. Brian Hill as well. I mean, the kid was on skates. He did do well in terms of supplying the attack, but he was also getting completely exposed and knocked over left, right, centre. I don't like some of the things that I'm hearing from the Spurs fans, but a point does have to be raised. When is it the right time to start at least questioning the motives of Conte's tactics? Because I don't feel like any of them, made any difference at all. We started off the game much better, and we put new players in, and it just felt more dull, like gradually. So I'm not sure what that was.
Do you think it's a case of Conte trying to fit circles into square pegs? I mean, it's clear sometimes, watching some of the games, we've mentioned it before, it's sort of lethargic. We try and soak up pressure, and then we end up inviting too much pressure, and inevitably we end up folding and trying to get ourselves back into the game. Going forward, do you see that working? Because a lot of people, I read a lot of Twitter and stuff, a lot of people were saying, well, we played pretty football and decent attacking football under Pochettino, but didn't win anything. So now we're under a different sort of manager, different approach to the game. Where do we go if we don't end up winning anything with this type of football?
I've got to be honest. I think the motive overall is to just try and remain in the Champions League, and after that because I know January transfer window, you can't really do much in terms of making signings. I know that we signed Kulusevski and Bentancur, but those were just two signings. You can't have an entire summer transfer window in the winter. And, I think for me, it's not really the manager. It's mainly the players. These tactics that he's done, they've worked before. It worked at Chelsea. They worked at Inter. Maybe Conte's being a little bit stubborn, trying to have repeats of, training up mediocre players and getting them to play like a big side player. I mean, Emerson, it feels like it's another Victor Moses project addition too, just like what he did with him at Chelsea. And, funnily enough, he only lasted one season. The next season, he was woeful. So I think relating to your analogy, it's more that he's in an arcade, and instead of putting 10p coins in to try and win it, he is putting 2p coins because they can technically do the job, but it don't mean that it's going to give you the result or outcome that you want of winning those slotted coins. So that's why I think he's trying to convert, players like Emerson, let's say, into a wing back, using Højbjerg a lot more as his personal project, as a lot of past managers have done. And look, it's the start of the season. We had a terrible, terrible defeat against Arsenal, and mood can change. And like you said, fans, what they say on Twitter, they can change their mind. I mean, literally, if we had our goals on target, then we'd be having a different discussion, a much different discussion. So I'm just reading the comment if you want to add something in.
No, it's all right. I mean, you can
Yeah, we keep waiting for this team to gel, and at this rate, we'll be out of cups by the time that happens. It's kind of the same play. It's the same players though that have let managers down consistently, and I think that we're not going to have a European adventure, but at best we might be able to qualify out of this group stage. We are second. We're ahead of Frankfurt by a goal difference, and we've got to put a job in at home. It's the away fixtures really that have been our downfall so far in the Champions League.
I mean, surely, Sam, we can't expect too much from the Champions League. I mean, we'd have to be extremely lucky to get as far as we did a few seasons ago with Pochettino when we reached the final. We're not. I doubt we're going to reach those levels again this season. But it'd be great to see us sort of go on a little cup run this year. Possibly, the FA Cup or the League Cup would be fantastic. I mean, going forward, what would be an ideal sort of scenario for you in terms of finishing the league or finishing the season?
I think the ideal scenario really is to have as less injuries as possible to start off with. It's bad that we don't have Kulusevski. We definitely need to go on a cup run, either the League Cup or the FA Cup. But let's face it, those trophies are always nicked by Man City, aren't they? And it could just be the same old. We're out of these competitions, and the last domino that we're hoping doesn't fall is top four. Now, Arsenal, I still don't highly rate them as much as they rate themselves, but you do have to sit back and understand that they have strengthened and they look more threatening than they were last season. So that's one thing to consider as well. Can we lose our top four spot? Have Man United improved? And really the only way for this to not happen, as cliche as it sounds, is to not screw up your games. We're how many points off the top? We're 3, aren't we, or 4?
I think it's more than that. I think it's about 4 or 5. We're third in the league.
We're third in the league. We're 4 points behind.
4 points
Arsenal.
behind. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's still, beginning of the season, 8 games in. Still a long, long way to go. The league becomes a lot more clearer come sort of December, beginning of January time. There's no doubt that Arsenal are hot on form at the moment, and they're the team to watch right now. But any talk of sort of a title challenge, I think it's a bit premature. We need to wait until the end of the season. The end of December to see what the league tables are saying. And Man City is definitely going to be up there. I certainly think that we've got a great chance of finishing 4th this season, considering Liverpool are in a bit of disarray and Manchester United are a team in transition, and Chelsea is a bit, hot off. So they're playing hot and cold week in, week out. So we've still got a good chance. I mean, tonight's result, it shouldn't be doom and gloom. But, we certainly showed a lot of character to come back from Sunday with the football that we played, and coming away with a point is not too bad. I know what you were saying, Sam, about we should have come away with a victory. It is a hard place to go to. It is a very hard place to go to. And West Ham proved that last year as well when they played them. So, the atmosphere there was absolutely immense. And I was mentioning to Gareth that... I didn't even know there was Tottenham fans there. That their fans were so loud. So I mean, it's a
Bundesliga atmospheres for you.
Sorry,
it's Bundesliga.
Yeah, most Bundesliga grounds are pretty much the same. But it was a fantastic atmosphere there today.
It's on my bucket list to go to their ground.
But going forward, do you think that we'll qualify from the group?
It's doable. We've got most of our away games out the way. At the very least, we only need to play Sporting away. We played Sporting away and we lost to them. We only need to play Marseille away. The rest is home. So it is doable. And look, like you said, performance was actually fine in terms of, the fight back from the Emirates. It was just really annoying. The ball wasn't in the back of the net. due to poor finishing within the final third.
Well, Kane was in the back of the net.
Hmm?
Well, Kane was in the back of the net, if that counts.
Yeah, we got to count something, I guess. We can learn from our mistakes and just, you know, stop mucking about and get the ball in the net. Like, it is doable. And I think as well, for me, Richarlison has got to play a bit more set. I know that he needs to be in the wing, but he needs to try and deliver, at least make himself go central, because I think, you know, him working in the wing has led to, like, for example, overpowered crossing. Son just needs to be more clinical and Kane just needs to square it when he needs to, instead of trying to go for goal like he did earlier. So, you know, my prediction really is we can qualify through the group stage, but, you know, a European adventure probably ain't going to happen.
As much as we'd like it to happen. Personally, Sam, I'd like us to sort of go on a cup run, concentrate on winning some sort of silverware. Some sort of silverware has to happen. I'm not saying we're going to win the league or challenge for the title, but certainly an FA Cup or a League Cup, certainly that's not with, you know, beyond the realms of impossibility, right? I mean, with the players that we have, you know, if we concentrated on one of those, I'm sure we could make something happen this year.
I don't know, man. Like, it feels like a broken record sometimes of the same old, that you get told, like, well, it's doable, we can win this, we can win that, getting knocked out by Middlesbrough or Colchester, or making it to a final and losing to Man City. So to be honest, I kind of like distance myself away from, well, if you could win a trophy, what do you reckon it could be this season? Because I have to, without sounding so negative about it, I just don't think we're ready to get our players to experience a cup run, the results to cup wins. We've even got the squad depth for it, so I don't know why we can't. But it just sounds, it just always sounds the same. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe who are we playing in the cup again? I forgot. Like, League Cup.
I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look at that.
So, was it Nottingham Forest?
In the League Cup,
Yeah.
I will find that for you. Those
But
fixtures
yeah,
are
as
going
I
to be.
was saying, whilst you're looking for that,
We've got Nottingham Forest in the League Cup, which
Yeah.
is on the 9th of November. So that's coming up next month.
Yeah. So I think that the best thing that Conte can do for this is he will probably carry on the same starting 11, and it will be a while until we see players like Jed Spence, for example. These cup games, we can see these players finally play. That will slowly be merged into Premier League starting 11. That's the only positive I can see out of this. And who knows, you know, maybe we might even see someone like Alfie Devine, a highly rated youngster. So that's why that's one of the main things I'm looking out of these cup competitions, for the players to finally get an opportunity, and hopefully then we can say, oh, well, why didn't we play them from the start? Or then again, maybe find out the truth that maybe they're not quite ready for that. That's the most I can hope for optimistically.
Well, it's very realistic of you, Sam, obviously, giving us a bit of realism there, mate. But, you know, I have to ask, as I have all the other guests for tonight's game, who do you reckon was your player of the game, and why do you think that is?
I'd have to say Perisic, because of the way he was playing as a wing back, and the fact that we often do think that our wing backs don't do enough. I think even Emerson today, to be fair to him, had a much better game and played as a wing back. He even went for goal. I mean, I know it went over, wasn't too far off, but he
Would
went.
have been a great way
for
for
him
him to
to
answer his
Perisic,
critics.
because the way he was just gliding through Frankfurt's defence and offering opportunities out of it. Had any of the front three made a goal happen, then I think they would have been the best contender in shout for player of the game, or man of the match, sorry. but they had one job to do and they couldn't do it. So I have to pass that on to Perisic, because I think Perisic worked the hardest and pulled his socks up the most out of any player playing today. And it's a shame to see him subbed off like that.
Yeah, fair point, Sam. He did have a decent game today, to be fair. A couple of runs he made. He took on his man, got the ball into the box. Should have been goals, really, but wasn't meant to be. But look, we've got a big game coming up on Saturday. Likes of Brighton. We all know Brighton's firing on all cylinders at the moment. They're red hot. They're just coming off the back of a 2-2 draw, or 3-3 draw, against Liverpool at their ground. And that's certainly not going to be an easy game. How do you see that one going?
It certainly won't be. You think that because they drew 3-3 with Liverpool, that's going to be us screwed. But, if anyone watches the Premier League properly, anyone can beat anyone. So we shouldn't really overlook into that too much. Brighton is just that team that we can never get a guaranteed double on these days. Sometimes they can even be our bogey team. So I think a win is on the cards for it, because I feel like this was just part of a working process of trying to get a win to restore confidence and mentality. And you'd think that we are due one after the way we played against Frankfurt and just so close to even getting a goal on 3 different occasions. They're without their manager now, ex-manager, since Chelsea decided to take them off of him, which is sad, because I don't like seeing big clubs do that to small clubs like that. But I think, like you said, the fact that they drew, it could be a draw for us. I've seen us lose 3-0, front row seats at the Amex, and I still get nightmares from that, because BT Sport caught my face just looking sad in 4K. But if we played exactly how we did, then I feel like we'd be due a goal. And for that reason, maybe at most, maybe we can get a 1-0 win out of it. But I'm just trying to be optimistic at this rate right now.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it will be some sort of win on Saturday. We're overdue a good performance and a win. So, it will be a bit of a statement to say, look, we're still in there with a shout for top 4. We're not going anywhere. We need to sort of keep that distance between ourselves and Manchester United. Chelsea got a decent win last week as well. So we need to sort of keep our heads above the water. So, anything other than a draw or a win on Saturday for me would be unacceptable. And it would mean that Conte would need to go back to the drawing board. But Sam, I thank you for being on the show, and thank you for your very realistic opinions, or, optimistic, pessimistic, however way you want to put it. But thank you very much. And where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and YouTube. Just type in Sam Chipek and I'll do a whole bunch of Spurs content, and hopefully some more other content coming very soon. I just want to say as well, thanks for getting me on. It's been good to at least talk about these things after a frustrating game. And, we can only look to the future, move on ahead and focus on the next game.
Absolutely.
And, I hope that doesn't become a cycle with what I say.
If we play anything like we did today with the finishing added on top of it, then I'm sure we'll be okay. And hopefully, we'll be in a better mood come the weekend. But Sam, I thank you once again for being on the show. You're more than welcome to come back any other time. And got to thank everyone in the chat as well, listening to us today. And I believe you are the final guest, Sam, and we are going to call it a night. And thank you very much for being on the show again.
Thank you. Cheers. No worries at all. Up the Spurs, I guess.
It's got to be always, mate. Come on, you Spurs.
How are you, Spurs?
Right. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you for everyone who's watched the match reaction tonight. We'll be back with another match reaction on Saturday. I believe your host for that one is going to be none other than Marlon. So make sure you tune into that. Click the subscribe button, hit the like button, do whatever you have to do. Make sure you watch it. All supports the channel, and we'll see you all back here on Saturday evening. And till then, come on, you Spurs.